So every now and then, one of you guys will send me something that kind of makes me do a bit of a double take. Mostly because I look at it at first and I go, maybe we'll check that out. It wasn't that interesting necessarily because it was something that's been looked at a bunch of times anyway. But something actually popped up and I thought it was interesting after I took another look at it. It's grip covers for your Joy-Con. Before you kind of go, well, why are you looking at slip covers for your Joy-Con controller? Well, it's also apparently the easiest way to add a D-pad to your Joy-Con. That's right, it apparently will sit on your Joy-Con and add a D-pad over the buttons. So I figured, hey, let's take a look at it and see if it actually is a good way to add a D-pad to your Joy-Cons in a few seconds, it seems, and for, well, about $10. So the box is pretty straightforward. It's white and red, and it does say D-grip directional pad and silicone covers. So it does have a very large plastic D-pad, it looks like right here, that goes over that left Joy-Con where those little buttons would be, the direction buttons. And otherwise, though, I guess it's just a way to grip the Joy-Cons better, although the Joy-Cons aren't the worst when they're hooked up to the Switch. I think it might be more or less when they're separate. It might be more of a pain because they're kind of small. There's really not a lot to this. That's pretty much it, what we see there. And we have our silicone grips. These are red. I think they come in a variety of different colors. I just happened to get red because I figured they'd stand out pretty well. Easy to see and everything. I have little cardboard inserts here to have them keep their form, I guess, so they don't droop if they sit in the box for a long time in the warehouse. And that's pretty much it. Now, looking at the plastic here for the D-pad, this is going to be an interesting one because inside it actually has the spots and the holes for those buttons. And if you remember, I would install like that, the bass top, the different shells, and it would basically just take those buttons out and put a D-pad on, but it was still dealing with buttons essentially underneath. Like, it wasn't like adding like a rubber membrane or anything that was helpful. It was still the same idea as using just standard buttons. So here's our Joy-Con. I guess we'll go ahead and drop this guy on. I'm also curious actually kind of how this will feel actually. See if it does add some grip to it. This is okay, so there it is. It's still kind of getting this on there. It does at least grip the Joy-Con itself all right, like this kind of the silicone, it grips it all right. It should still fit in the dock as well, by the way. Like, that shouldn't be an issue. Still has a little button here for the release, so you can still kind of press it. And yeah, it's actually not bad. It's not, the other nice thing is because of the limited travel of the joystick, it's not running into the silicone. These buttons are all pressing fine, it seems, and the big question is going to be the D-pad. Okay, you can't press all 4 buttons at once. I'll at least give it that. It has the standard tactile click. My only issue is because it's sitting on top of buttons, it's raised up very far. Like, it's almost level with your joystick. So look at your Joy-Con now and imagine your buttons being elevated that high up. It might be fairly jarring going from this to this, although I guess if you want a D-pad, you're probably just putting it on for that maybe, and you might not even putting this one on the other side. But how about I grab this Switch and we'll actually try it out. I'm also realizing you pretty much put it on without having to take the Joy-Con off of the side. I don't like this one as much. I don't know because it's actually made these flush. So like A, B, X, and Y are all flush now with the, I don't think I like that as much. That's weird, that's odd. The home button clicks all right there. I just want to start software. There's an update for that. Okay, so that's all right. You know what? I don't think I would use that side. I'm looking at it. But here we are. We have our D-pad, and the big thing is the D-pad. Some people might not even put this one on. I just don't like that it's like flush now. Like, there's no pop to those buttons. But the D-pad clicks all right. It's working. Castlevania. Let's start some Castlevania here. Castlevania collection is awesome, by the way. Love this series. And the collection is very, very good. Once I get in this gate, we'll run around and start hitting some stuff. And, alright, so the D-pad, I mean, it works, but it does, you can still feel the buttons pressing down. It feels like it, okay, so It definitely wobbles more to the left than the right, probably because it's running into the actual switch in the tablet itself, whereas here, there's nothing to stop it. So that's a little weird. It's, I guess, for someone who doesn't want to open the Switch, the Joy-Con up at all or mess around with that, and you want a D-pad of some kind, I mean, it's $10, so it's not like the worst investment in the world, but I don't like these buttons being flush. It grips all right. Like, it's not bad for the grip. These buttons are still fairly easy to find. The D-pad is just, it's not a great D-pad here, but I understand there's not a lot of solutions. So, unfortunately, I can't technically recommend these, even though they're only $10, and someone might just say, okay, I got at least a D-pad form here. You can't press all the buttons at once. It does stop you from that, but you're basically just pressing the buttons anyway. Rolling's not going to be that much easier, to be honest. I probably wouldn't buy these myself. I'll just say that. So I've been sitting here kind of getting the hang of it, but I'm noticing that going from the D-pad to the joystick isn't great either because it's actually the same level as the joystick, so you end up kind of running into it, if that makes sense. Whereas if you were on the buttons before that were lower, you would kind of pick your thumb up to go to the joystick, if that makes sense. It's something I'm noticing, and it's kind of hard to explain, but if I handed you this Switch right now and you tried it, you would kind of realize that as well. I know a lot of people want a D-pad on their Switch, but I still think having something like an overlay over the buttons isn't probably the best solution. I would like Nintendo to come out with a Joy-Con. I think that'd be great. And even replacing the shell still is not the best D-pad that we can get. But I guess that's one way to do it. This is the D-Grip Direction Pad Silicone Covers that you can buy for your Switch in various different colors. However, I don't really recommend doing so if you specifically want it for a D-pad. And to be honest, there are other silicone covers out there that are a little cheaper, and they just wouldn't replace it with a little D-pad over top. This kind of this large bulky thing there. But let me know what you guys think about the idea of overlaying a D-pad on the buttons to kind of get that same feel. Do you think we just need a Joy-Con that has a D-pad? I mean, just sell us one, Nintendo. Most people will buy it, and you'll make a bunch of money. Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not. Get subscribed for all kinds of weird accessories, apparently, like these ones. And I'll see you guys next time.